Many hate him, but you can't deny the greatness of Isiah Thomas, the number 21 member of my 25 greatest players in NBA history list. Isiah Lord Thomas III was born April 30th, 1961 in Chicago, Illinois. Thomas grew up in Chicago's notorious West Side as the youngest of 7 boys and 2 girls. In his book, Thomas recalled that he spent his childhood trolling the streets with an empty belly, looking for loose change or fast food wrappers with scraps of cheese still stuck inside. He shined shoes to earn money for food, then hoped he could make it home without being robbed. From a young age, Thomas's basketball prowess was obvious though, and his older brothers saw it as Isiah's potential ticket out. They would take him to the neighborhood courts, hoping Isiah could be the family's savior from the poverty they were stuck in. In the 8th grade, Thomas was dominant and impressed area coach Gene Pingatore so much that Pingatore secured financial aid for Thomas to attend St. Joseph High School. At St. Joseph, Thomas would dominate despite the over hour-and-a-half bus ride it took him to get there. From St. Joseph, he accepted a scholarship at Indiana to play for legendary coach Bobby Knight. Initially at Indiana, Thomas and Knight butted heads due to Thomas's score-first nature not fitting in Knight's vaunted motion offense. Midway through his freshman season, though, Thomas and Knight would figure each other out, and by the end of his sophomore season, Thomas was a national champion, an All-American, and headed to the NBA. Selected second overall in the 1981 NBA draft, Isiah Thomas was instantly an elite player, making the first of his 12 straight All-Star games. The Pistons would initially struggle, though, until the hiring of Chuck Daly. Following the hire of Daly and a series of savvy moves, the Pistons were an elite team in the Eastern Conference. The only thing standing in the way of them in the finals, though, were the Boston Celtics. In '87, the Pistons appeared poised to beat Boston until Thomas famously threw the ball away to Bird in a catastrophic moment. Many teams would have been ruined by a moment like that, but Detroit was able to bounce back the next season, eliminating the rival Celtics. In the first of 3 straight finals appearances, the Pistons would face Magic Johnson and the Lakers. Late in Game 6, the Pistons appeared poised to win the title, but an injury to Isiah's ankle derailed their chances. This still became one of Isiah's most inspiring and self-defining moments, as while in obvious pain, Thomas scored 25 points in the 3rd quarter, an NBA Finals record. The Lakers were too much for an injured Thomas in Game 7, though, leaving the Pistons heartbroken after coming so close. The next 2 seasons were different stories, though, as the Pistons ripped off back-to-back titles. Nothing could stop them now, as without a freak injury in their way, Thomas and the Pistons proved their dominance over the NBA. By 1991, though, the Pistons were running out of juice, and Jordan's Bulls swept them out of the Eastern Conference Finals. From there, Thomas would never come close to winning another title, and retired in 1994 after an Achilles injury was the final of a bunch of major injuries. Isiah Thomas is one of the most fascinating stories in basketball history. From his time at Indiana through his professional career, he proved time and again he was a winner who made the biggest plays when they mattered most. Knight showed Thomas the power of team, and from there, Thomas was never the same player. In high school, he was a score-first player, but by the time he went pro, his greatest skill was his ability to involve his teammates. It's no coincidence that Thomas is top 5 all-time in assists per game. His ability to move the ball and to find teammates built a prototype for future diminutive pass-first guards like Chris Paul and Steve Nash. What Thomas understood, though, was that he was the best player on his teams, and it was up to him to close games and score when the Pistons needed him most. No player in league history has better understood when to pick their spots. The Bad Boy Pistons won because Thomas was a brilliant basketball mind who understood the importance of team. Unfortunately for him, that team is why his legacy is so interesting. As the face of the most hated team in basketball history, Thomas became known for bullying America's favorites, Magic, Larry, and Michael, more than his skill on the court. In a sport predicated on star power and popularity, Thomas somehow missed that seminar for the game's best players. He never cared about how he was thought of when he played. He cared about winning. Isiah Thomas should be one of the sport's great success stories. Instead, many have ripped the pages of basketball history Thomas wrote out of the basketball Bible.